Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Real Blue TV once again. Today, we're going to be talking about some Valorant action. We're heading into week 5. The playoffs are near, and it's been getting pretty heated in these exchanges between these North American and these European teams. So I thought I'd bring in someone I admire and who watches a ton of Valorant and would be able to speak on it a little bit better than me. So I'd like to welcome Tanner Metro in. Tanner, how you feeling today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And like you said, playoffs are just around the corner for just about everybody. So I don't know. That means Master 2's around the corner. That means international events are around the corner. That means fans back for Valorant LAN is around the corner. So that's what makes me good.
Yes, fans back in the stands and players back on the stage. I don't know how to say the city. I forgot the last one, in Iceland. I learned how to say it and then I forgot.
Reykjavik.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I'm not going to say it on a daily
You just
basis.
say Iceland.
Yeah, I just say Iceland. I'm not going to say that city on a daily basis, so I just forget it. But I did have a couple questions for you coming into today because we're going to be talking about the North American teams. There's some action that's happened there. A lot of drama game-wise. There was a couple trades and a couple players not being able to play for a week or two. And you'll touch on that. But first, let's start off with this North American group, Group A, where Ghost Gaming has sort of made themselves kind of a household name in stage 2, right? I just want to know just how dangerous is this team in reality?
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing about Ghost, man, is they were always so good. They were always the top of tier 2, and there was always kind of just like a missing piece to the team. And now it seems like I don't want to necessarily say they've got all the pieces, but I feel like what they've needed all along was kind of this boat of confidence, and they have it. You can just see it in the way that they're playing recently. And I think qualifying for the playoffs, which I don't think anybody except for Van Silly really was expecting Ghost to qualify for playoffs. Not that they weren't a good team, but I mean, if you look back at stage 1, you had teams like TSM and like these larger orgs who even themselves, they weren't qualifying. T1, which is kind of a meme now at this point. But this Ghost Gaming roster, they qualify, and then I think they just kind of have this idea of coming into it saying, let's throw caution to the wind. We literally have nothing to lose. And then they play Exit in their first round, which is we really have nothing to lose, right? Exit is consistently, number 4 for North America, and they almost beat them. I think it was a 13-11 and a 13-9 series. It was a 2-0 to Exit, but I think them showing up and putting on that performance against Exit kind of sparked that fire and started up that confidence that they needed to play as good as they can individually. We've seen Noob's always been crazy, but Noob is even crazier. And Nismo in the flex role was always kind of that supplementing aspect for the team, but is now really starting to pop off as a fragger alone. A handful of clutches from John Cutie and just really everybody, the entire for this Ghost Gaming squad. So I think their first loss in the playoffs, it just skyrocketed their confidence, and there's really no way to chop them down at this point. It's really given off some of the stage 1 guard vibes for the most part. It's just this team that it's very well oiled. They're working together so well, and there's no bit of doubt, right? Again, that confidence. There's no doubt. So whatever play they're making, they're doing it together, and it's freaking working, man.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous journey for them so far, and it's been awesome to see them. I mean, I go on Twitter during game days, and if Ghost Gaming's playing, Twitter is just lighting up with Ghost Gaming things. So it's awesome to see them finally getting some success. And like you said, that first loss kind of just said, okay, let's propel ourselves, and it kind of gave them the boost that they may have needed, right?
Yeah.
Let's move on. North America Stage 2. Again, has had some super exciting things unfold, especially in the last week, right? We watched Evil Geniuses serve Optic Gaming their first loss, and FaZe beating Sentinels pretty much put Sentinels in the bin. They are out of contention for the playoffs, 0-4. Which of these do you think is the bigger deal? I mean, you can even touch on both of them if you'd like.
Yeah, so I think at first glance, kind of outside looking in, maybe the casual Valorant player or the casual Sentinel fan might say that FaZe beating Sentinels and Sentinels not making playoffs is a huge deal or the biggest deal. But we've seen, I guess, starting in 2022, Sentinels have kind of been on this steady decline. It doesn't seem like the team is really on the same page on the server sometimes. And, when they're doing well, it's typically when tens is popping off. A couple of supplementing pieces here and there, kind of shifting around between Sick or Dapper, whoever it might be. But it just never feels like how I said about Ghost, right? It never feels like everybody's coming online. It never feels like incredibly well polished or well oiled as a squad. So I actually think that EG beating Optic is one of the biggest upsets that we've seen in some time. Uh, Obviously, Evil Geniuses looked good the weekend prior, and then coming into this Optic gaming team or gaming game, they just again, it's one of those things where we've got nothing to lose. They are the number one team. Let's just put it all out on the line, and it was Optic Gaming series to lose, and that's exactly what happened. So I think that's a huge upset. I think Evil Geniuses look incredible. Um, and it's the mastermind, right? And I didn't mean to do that actually because they're evil geniuses and masterminds and Despicable Me and Gru and all that stuff. Um, but they really are. They're putting it all out there, right? They're running no duelist comps, right? They're running like triple initiator comps. They're doing some crazy things and making it work. And I think the one thing that we've noticed from 2022 is uh in the decline from Sentinels and the incline from everybody else is when you're starting to theory craft, you're starting to experiment and kind of put new places out there, play with the meta and just toy around a little bit and get out of your shell. That's what's starting to work, right? It's the Yoru picks on certain maps, it's the Neon picks coming in. It's now teams figuring out ways to work in Fade, who at first glance didn't seem like the best, but then you look at all of these supplementing agents that work well with the Fade on certain maps, and that's what's starting to set teams, or really kind of change the bar for some of these teams. So it was Optic. I feel like to really do it, they weren't the first ones to pull out their Ryoru or the first ones to pull out the Neon, but they were the first ones to do it well. And now I say well, I'm mostly talking about the Neon, not so much the Yoru. And Evil Geniuses are right there behind them. Not necessarily with those two picks, but with everything else and like how you can play specific agents for this specific team on this specific map really well. That's what Evil Geniuses are doing. So I think I still think there's a world where Optic is still the number one team. Obviously, we still have playoffs to go, but EG over OG was, I think, a huge upset.
Yeah, I
That was
always
long winded. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place.
No, it's all right.
That
Tanner,
series,
that's
man, had me going.
exactly what we want. That's what the fans want. No, I like that you touched on like the meta and these teams that run these wacky comps and things like that because I'm always a fan of those teams, right? And I remember at the LAN event that you and I were at together in Atlanta in early May. I was talking to you guys in the green room at one point. Mimi said, this is when Fade came out. Mimi said, Fade is not good. I don't see Fade coming in.
Yeah.
And then there's a team that starts to bring in Fade. And then I see Mimi tweet out like, okay, Fade in this comp is pretty dangerous, So I like the teams. I mean, meta is only there because someone proved it's good, right? So the more that people experiment with things, the better some teams could get because they've tried new things or they've created new meta. So I love that. But C9 beat Evil Geniuses, right? And then right after they trade Zeta and their coach Autumn to T1 for Curry. But C9's kind of imploded since that trade. So like what happened? How's this impacted them?
That is so tough. I think because even going into stage 1 and C9 not qualifying for Reykjavik, you still put Cloud9 up there as top 3, top 2 teams. And there's a world where the guard aren't on such a heater in stage 1 and Cloud9, makes it through instead. So it's a really interesting dynamic now that we get into stage 2 and Cloud9 looked just as good as you would expect. That series against Evil Geniuses, it was one of those ones that really showed us how strong Evil Geniuses looked at the start of things. They lose 2-0, kind of like how Ghost Gaming did it, and then from there they kind of just skyrocket. But that trade, it makes it very little sense to do it at such a crucial time for the squad. I think it's kind of like the same thing we saw from Hunter Thieves from stage one, where the roster is 2 weeks in, it completely gets imploded. They bring in some new players, and then obviously things don't go well. And I think Curry is a really strong player. I think Curry also was IGLing for T1 at one point, so he's got that co-IGL working with Vanity. He has a brain for the game. He's a really strong individual player and very flexible in the roles that he's played. He was playing the flex role, comes in, picks up the flex role for Cloud9. It's just, I mean, when you have, I don't know, Exodia, when you have all 5 pieces of Exodia, which felt like Cloud9 kind of did, I guess 6 if you add Autumn, maybe that was Exodia's hair. And then you take out one of the legs and then you just put in a different card, it doesn't quite work the same. So it's tough. I think Cloud9 had higher hopes than I think, obviously what is showing for I mean, they're out of playoffs. So it's like that, I don't know, that's really tough. I think a little overconfidence there. I also think there was some stuff behind the scenes with, Zeta and Autumn wanting to go to T1 to build that NA Korean roster with Munchkin and Steel. And it was very strange. And for Cloud9 fans, now it stinks, right? Because it's a big, fat, rotten egg for the rest of the year. I guess they might qualify for LCQ so they can try again there. But as far as Masters 2 goes, they're not going to Copenhagen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, hey, I appreciate the Yu-Gi-Oh reference, by the way. I used to watch that as a kid. I don't watch anime now, and a lot of people harp on me for it, but I did watch Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, so I appreciate that reference. Love the Exodia set. Let's move over to EMEA, right? And in Group B for this region, we have an undefeated guild in Group B. I mean, can they remain undefeated through week 5? Or, I mean, because it really doesn't matter if they win or lose in week 5, but as a confidence and momentum booster, you want to win as much as possible. I guess first question is, can they remain undefeated? And if so, how important is it for them?
I do. I think they can be undefeated. Let me go and take a look. Their last game is against Na'Vi, who are 1-3 on the groups as a whole. Na'Vi actually had an insane series against Team Liquid this past weekend, so they have their strengths as a team. I think what Guild is showing us as a squad is they are incredibly flexible, and it's that the oh man, I can't think of the word right now, unfortunately, but they bend but they don't break, and that bend is that flexibility in the team. They work the meta really well. They're working in that neon. Their roster is playing the agents basically to make sure everybody's comfortable on whatever map it may be. We've got changes between the Jets and the Killjoys and things the like. I think Guild are in a really good spot to close out the group 5-0. And I believe even if they don't win and go undefeated, they're still locking in that first place spot. So they're still in a really good spot as a whole. But I think they're showing us exactly what we talked about when we started with North America, right? Is you need that versatility. You need to remain flexible. Comfortability is key, and they've got it.
Hey, listen, I'm a little biased towards the guild because my boy from Paladins, aka Bonker, no longer plays for him. I was a fan of Bonker when he won the world championship in Paladins. So he came over, he started playing Valorant, was with guild. No longer there, but it's okay. We'll let it slide. But yeah, remaining undefeated, keeping that momentum. Like you said, even if they lose versus Na'Vi, they're probably still going to be the first place team in their group. You spoke on Na'Vi putting up a good fight against Team Liquid. I was under the impression, by the way, that Link was going to play for Liquid against Na'Vi in that matchup. Unfortunately, they didn't. So I was looking forward to that one once they brought them in. All right. So looking towards this upcoming week in EMEA, we have Ascend versus Fun Plus Phoenix. Both teams 3-1. I wanted your thoughts on this matchup because I believe whoever wins this, they're basically playing for seeding in the playoffs, and this is very important considering they both want to be that second team to come out of their groups.
Yeah, so if if I'm not mistaken, I think first place for EMEA gets a bye into the upper semifinals, and then two from A plays three from B, and then vice versa. Two from B plays three from A. So obviously, it means more to be seated higher because then you're playing the lower seed on the opposite side. Although when you see these round robin group styles, it's really hard to say because we've only seen Group A play Group A. We've only seen Group B play Group B. So once we get these teams back together, A to B, it's going to be their first time taking a peek at one another. So the seeding, it's on paper it seems like yes, let's be considered the number two group in our group, or the number two team in our group. I don't remember how I actually just worded that. So this matchup I think just kind of shows the strength of where we're at as a whole for Ascend and Fun plus Phoenix. The winner of this, like you said, is going to be that second place spot versus the third place spot, and I I honestly think that FPX take this one. Um, Ascend have seemed fairly, I guess, stagnant in the map pool as a whole. FPX just seems to kind of bounce around the place a little bit more. They've got a few more maps here and there. Even on the maps that they haven't looked great in the most recent months, they still look better than Ascend, and they're still going 50-50 or something of the sort. And Ascend are a team that are seemingly hard avoiding maps. Haven, Breeze, Fracture are three that I kind of scribbled in here as maps that they want to avoid. And, you don't get that many bans. It's not quite how it works in the vetoes. So it's going to be really interesting. I think it comes down to the vetoes for this. I think FPX takes this. I also think that FPX is another one of those teams where we're seeing the meta shift, right? They're experimenting. They're playing what they think is strong, and really what is strong right now with the meta once more. It's a little bit faster now that we're no longer Astra Viper. We're not Gravwell after Smoke, after Snakebite, all that stuff. But now what we're getting to is maybe something that's a little more annoying with the Fade, the KO, the Raise, the Sage. It's a slow. It's the C's to tether everybody. It's paint shells on top of it. It's a fragment grenade coming out from KO. So we're back in with Fade kind of making her way through things. We're back into kind of a similar stall comp. And I think when you have a team like Ascend that does want to go, the stall is going to be a lot. So maps and agent pools, they just look better for FPX, honestly. And going back to the seeding, although it might not be the biggest deal in the world, it still feels nice.
It also depends on like who you think you probably have a better matchup against, right? Do you think that you match up better against Liquid or M3C? That could also be a factor that plays in it, right? I'm not saying anybody loses on purpose, but if you want a better playoff matchup, I think in the first round, that could be something that is in someone's mind, right? All right, so week 5, there's a couple matchups in particular that we're looking forward to seeing. I know your number one is NRG versus the Guard in NA. I mean, why is that? Who you got taking that? It's a very important one. You actually brought this one up to me.
Yeah, it is. It's so NA's structure is different than EMEA. So EMEA is taking the top 6 teams. NA is taking the top 8 teams. But the first place seed gets a bye. The fourth place seed starts in the lowers, and then second and third play that first round. So making it to playoffs, that's a big deal. That's great. That's what you want to do. That's you're finding yourself right in the money. Doing it in fourth place doesn't feel great, but that's what the Guard and NRG are playing for. So this is kind of one of our last matchups that really has any weight behind it. TSM lost to both of these teams, so even if they win and they're 2-3, they're gonna lose the head-to-head versus whoever wins this NRG versus the Guard matchup. So it's playoff contention. It's the last real matchup that we're getting for playoff contention. I also think in this same group, Group A, you've got 100 Thieves playing Ghost, and 100 Thieves. I said Ghost Gaming looked like a well-oiled machine. Ghost Gaming looked like a team that are playing full confidence, and they have zero doubts in one another, not only as teammates, but in their individual capabilities. That's exactly how 100 Thieves look. This team, with the players that it has and the mind behind it, right? With the Immortal Minds guys coming in. I didn't mean to do that, but with DDK, Sean, Mike's coming in to really run this roster, I was thinking since the first time we saw him that there isn't a lick of hesitation with this squad. When somebody needs to make a play, it's like it's all hammered out. It's like it's all written in stone. It's etched. They've got this playbook. They have the little QB arm thing, and they're just making it happen, right? Asana's blast packing in. A wall goes up. All the corners are cleared. Asana's doing his job. And if Asana's not able to do his job, then somebody is typically there to trade. So the timing and the way that 100 Thieves have been working, it it's a similar situation, I think, to Ghost Gaming, but in two different styles, where Ghost Gaming is coming in just trying to flourish and use that confidence moving forward, and 100 Thieves really is all of those pieces of Exodia working together. So I think that alone is going to be an exciting matchup. It does mean, it is for first place, so that's also cool to get that bye. But I think the biggest one here is the guard versus NRG. We've got FaZe and EG as well. It would be, this one doesn't mean a whole lot.
It's just two teams on hot streaks.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if Evil Geniuses could finish out the group strong by beating FaZe, obviously that would mean that they're 4-1, and because they have the head-to-head over Optic, they would be in first place.
Exactly.
But it would also kind of let us know, okay, it's not a fluke, right? It's EG beat LG. Okay, they looked pretty good. Dang, that was surprising. EG beat OG. Wow, okay, that was incredibly surprising, but can they hang on? And now if EG beat FaZe, I think, it's not just a honeymoon phase anymore. We really got to be paying our respects to what this team is putting together. I think the OG win did enough, or the Optic Gaming win did enough for people to start putting some respect on EG's name. But for any of the doubters, this FaZe Clan matchup is going to be one that I think cements the thoughts of Evil Geniuses does belong at the top. And then OG and LG, I said that Optic was, that's a scary one. Fortunately for these two teams, they're doing all right. They're going to be, second and third no matter what. FaZe Clan seemingly locked in, I think, for fourth. But if Optic lose against LG,
that could mean some trouble for Optic. 2 straight losses to EG and LG. Yeah. That could be. And then you have EG, if they beat FaZe, like you said, that puts some respect on their name for the doubters out there. But also it's, hey, we beat Luminosity, we beat Optic, now we beat FaZe. Who else do you have for us to beat? Because we're on a hot streak heading right into the playoffs. We're number 1 in our group. They're kind of feeling themselves, and they have that momentum push with them. If Optic lose to LG, I agree with you. That would kind of hurt Optic, and also that might start to put that thought into everyone's head, like, hey, Optic's not unstoppable. They're not the best anymore. We can exploit that.
Yeah, I will say to that point, Optic are the Masters 1 winners, right? They lost the series early at Masters 1. They battled back and they won the whole dang thing. So I don't think – I think Optic, should they lose here, I think they still come in strong and turn it up for playoffs, whether they're the 2nd seed or the 3rd seed.
Just regain for playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. I think they hit that R&R, they rest up a little bit, and then they really come back strong, probably with something new, because they are the innovators of North America. Well, now everybody seems to be the innovators of North America. But yeah, I think they get the playoff buff. I don't think you can count Optic out just yet. Even if they lose to LG, they're freaking Optic, man.
Yeah. Yeah, they are the Masters winners. They're the defending champions. So no matter what, you got to put some respect on their name. It's like watching the NBA. The Warriors win the championship, and then the next season they go like 1-9 to start off with. Yeah. They're still the defending champs, right? There's a long way until they got to defend it again. So Optic, whether they win or lose against LG, it's not as big a deal as maybe some people may put it. But okay, we heard everything from the expert Tanner. Tanner, I know Valorant, they love their predictions, so I'm going to put you on the spot. NRG, the guard, FaZe, EG, 100 Thieves, Ghost, Optic, LG, all the matchups we just talked about. Just give me your winners for each one.
Okay, NRG and the guard, I have to give it to the Guard. I think the Guard are on their comeback arc, their comeback story. They tried to experiment, it didn't quite work. They go back to tried and true, what's comfortable for them, and they were seemingly playing better. I think they get it done over NRG. I think EG beats FaZe. Oh, Optic beats LG, and the 100 Thieves Ghost, man, I just don't have a single clue. My heart wants to say 100. My head wants to say 100 Thieves. My heart wants to say Ghost Gaming because I want to be invited to Thanksgiving at Papa Nismo's house. You know what I'm saying? Or Papa Nismo's restaurant. Like I'm trying to get involved with whatever he's cooking up, whatever he's eating. I need to have some of that because that guy's going absolutely insane. So my head says 100 Thieves. My heart says Ghost. That one I am completely torn about. I have no clue.
I mean, to be honest, NRG versus the Guard is the most important matchup, I would say. 100 Thieves, Ghost, Optic, LG, those two matches both could be like game of the week, right? So just a lot of good action to watch in the final week of stage 2 for challengers. It's awesome. Tanner, I mean, any last thoughts from you, man?
No, I'm excited. Like we kind of started the show, right? It's one more week, and then we got playoffs, and then we have another international event, and fans are headed out to Copenhagen, which is super cool. I'm so excited for this because we finally get a real Valorant event with real Valorant fans, and we get to see just how much energy and electricity there is in a stadium once we get it all together. So, yeah, I'm super excited. These matchups, obviously, specifically, like you said, a couple of games of the week just ahead of us. And then for, the Guard and NRG, it's do or die. The Guard are probably sitting okay when it comes to LCQ. So if they don't make it here, they might be all right. NRG are not in that same boat. So it is important that they take this win and they qualify for playoffs at the very least.
Well, all right. You heard it there from Tanner. Sets you up nicely for week 5, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully we can have Tanner on next week after the conclusion of week 5 before the playoffs, right? I'm going to be looking to try and apply for so I can do the watch party or whatever it is. Maybe Tanner can join us for that as well, especially for Copenhagen. Should be a good time. I said I was going to get into more Valorant. I'm still trying to learn as much as I can. I think I was like starting to learn on the cusp of the meta change, so it just threw me off completely.
Right.
But Tanner, again, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Of course. Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me.
For anyone else, you know the deal. We'll see you on the next one.
Oh, hello there. It's Blue. I'm a terrible dancer, so ignore that version of me on the screen and listen to my voice when I say thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and of course, click on another video of mine. I heard you'll like those over there. They're pretty good.